We're very pleased to welcome Elisabeth Kaneza here at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy today. Thank you for taking out the time to come to speak with us. To start off the first question, cultural diplomacy aims to be a tool for resolving conflicts and ensuring peace by creating a forum for which like-minded individuals could come and solve some of the problems still on the surface in the international sphere and come together and collectively to find a common ground like we just talked about before. How do you define cultural diplomacy and how do you define it through the mediums of communication?
Okay. So first of all, of course, diplomacy as such is a way of interaction. So diplomacy cannot exist in isolation. You need to interact with one another. Cultural diplomacy is then, for me, in my understanding, a tool to interact, to bring about change by taking into consideration all factors in a society or in the development process. So this is why, of course, then giving attention to culture, the meaning of culture, the meaning of traditions, the meaning of a language we all understand, and culture has this power. So in terms of communication, then communication is, of course, an element to make understood, to create understanding. And communication is also sometimes referred to as soft power. And this is like the whole meaning behind diplomacy. Going away from weapons, going away from violence, but trying to bring about a solution by talking, by having dialogue. So this is how I understand it.
Do you think there needs to be a distinction between the type of communication that can facilitate peace and understanding between cultures?
So, because I also come from the field of mediation, conflict mediation, I know that communication always is true for the particular context we talk about. Communication is never universal. It can't be universal. So if we have a particular conflict, we need to communicate in the way, with the means the actors of this conflict have. This is what we learn in mediation. And especially when you come from the external, you need to adapt if you want to change something. You need to adapt to their means of communication and not confront actors with your own communication. And this is the challenge of diplomacy.
In regards to your last speech, what has Rwanda done so far in ensuring the implementation of children and youth rights that could aid in the development of future generations?
Children and youth rights. So first of all, Rwanda, as most African countries, is a young population. So we have actually, more than 60% of the population are young, below 35. So, which of course creates the need to address their needs, but also their daily challenges, right? So, and what really makes me also very, very happy about Rwanda is that children rights, youth rights are very much put into focus. And the topics, their challenges are discussed. So not only that the rights are manifested in the legislation, in the constitution. We also have like parliamentary meetings just around youth, where young people convene in the parliament and discuss their problems on a national level. We have youth councils. We have national youth programs. And this also comes from the fact that, of course, we know that educating the young people, educating the youth as early as possible it's an investment into the future.
What are some of the examples Rwanda has used in recent years to promote and ensure cultural exchanges amongst its own people as well as worldly?
In Rwanda, we like to talk about a whole series of homegrown solutions. So after the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994, Rwanda was so much confronted with the challenge of transforming the conflict, of bringing peace and stability, but also, much importantly, reconciliation within the country. And Rwanda had to do it at first all by itself, because as you may know, the international community failed to intervene in the genocide. And so Rwanda was very much confronted with the question what to do and what to do fast, because the country was very much brought back to zero, development-wise, institutional-wise. So solution was found in Rwanda's tradition, Rwanda's culture. The justice system, which was used to actually process the most genocide cases, is called Gacaca. So it's based on the traditional judicial system, bringing all actors together, not only for justice, of course, but also for truth finding. It was very crucial for truth finding in the aftermath of the conflict. So this is one example, and then we have other examples which were borrowed, of course, from the tradition to build social cohesion, to have established social contracts within society. We have the community work, for example, every end of the month, which is also the umuganda, which is very much from the culture, and many development programs really. Be it to promote the rights of women, be it to promote the rights of children, or to eradicate poverty. So many of those you will find that are very much rooted in culture and tradition.
Listening to your speech earlier on, you spoke about the negative image that the media presents of Africa,
Yes.
including Rwanda.
Yeah.
Do you believe that cultural diplomacy has the power to change this image?
The negative image of Africa, yeah. So this is actually what we're trying to discuss after my speech, is to find from where does this perception or image come from. Then second, who are the actors in distributing this image? And then when you know who are the actors, this is when you can say this is where we need to go to make a change, right? So, but what I try to portray is that when it comes to the perception of Africa in the West, it's not a product which was like misrepresented or miscommunicated. We're dealing with the whole concept of perception, of public perception, of from generation to generation, which is passing on. So what I have found helpful is intercultural exchange. This is what I said before. When we can meet at places like this occasion and say we are from different parts of the world, but I'm Rwatian, and because I'm here, I'm going to listen to your kind of story. This is already helpful, because I'm quite sure we all go home with a different reality than we had before in our minds, right? And so I found intercultural exchange is very helpful in trying to, and also dialogues, you know, in trying to change perception, in trying to fight prejudices, stereotypes. This is very important. But for the long run, we will need a very, very strong and straightforward approach on naming the origin of these perceptions and then trying to go deep there where stereotypes are first built. And I still believe this is a task for the education sector. I still believe it. It's a task for politicians to make agendas which have a focus on exactly this. How do we see the world? You know, how do we present global understanding to our children in school, starting from school? And this is where I think we can start shaping, how the next generation sees Africa in the world.
What are some of the suggestions to strengthen the bridges between the West and Africans, which will benefit both parties?
Okay, can you repeat the question again?
What are some of the suggestions to strengthen the bridges between the West and Africa, how this can benefit both parties?
Yes. Yes, maybe we need also to clarify. So in my presentation, of course, I said West in contrast to Africa, because this is always what is represented in the media. There's Africa and then there's the West. But I don't really believe that we have two parties here. I really don't believe it, because Africa is also not one homogeneous unity, and the West is also not homogeneous, right? The West is the term West is a construct. We don't even have borders to completely define where does the West start, where not, and who is in and who is not. So again, it would be misleading here to speak about parties, but I think what we can say is the creating bridges between north and southern parts of the world. I think this we can say. And again, to create these bridges, we need equal relations. We need dialogue on eye level. We need same opportunities. You see, the other day I was speaking to young people who said they find it quite very of concern that they can travel so easily to Africa, but the counterparts from Africa, the other youths, they cannot come easily to Europe. So why is that? So again, here we have barriers. We have barriers of movement. We have barriers of knowledge. All of this. So we need to fill these gaps. And I think first of all we need really this common ground of equal opportunities. To say a young person from Africa is not worse off in international setting than a young person from Europe or from America, for example. And this is where I still see inequalities, I still see difficulties. And I think, again, a good way is what we're doing right here at the ICD, to say we give young people opportunities to come from different parts of the world, or these conferences, participants, to learn from each other. We assist with visa regulation, we assist in transportation, all of these things to make it possible. But my ideal world will be a world where we can all travel free of any restrictions, especially for the young generation, to explore the world as far as you can.
On behalf of ICD, thank you for coming, and you're always welcome back to this institution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks.